Whew. What's up, everybody? Finally got a new video out for you guys. I've had a couple pre-recorded videos that I've been putting out over the past couple of weeks because I was moving. Obviously, you see I'm in a different place than usual. I got my record shelf behind me, got the music players up there, got some water, whatever. I'm not too worried about it, but that doesn't matter anyway. So, I now have this wonderful natural light of which you can see exposing every facet of my ugly mug. So let's cut on into it before I keep yakking too much. This is an amazing collection update full of stuff that I've been wanting to get for a good long while. There's a whole lot of things I've just been meaning to pick up and just haven't got around to, but it's all from one seller on Discogs. So we're listening to the first album that I'm going to be talking about, which is Joe Naga, the Seikim's Tale. Right there. Yeah, get that natural light. Look at that. Look at that sick album cover. So I remember when this album dropped back in 2017, I found it on Bandcamp and I clicked on it because of that amazing album cover. And ever since then, I've wanted a copy and I just never got around to pulling the trigger. And by the time I got to, if I remember right, I believe it was already sold out on Bandcamp. So obviously I was just thinking I was going to take the L and have to track it down. But I was making a cart on Discogs, and I wound up seeing this in this guy's distro as available. I don't remember what I was looking for particularly that really made me, order this cart. I was like, I started it, you know how you find one thing and you're like, well, what's this other guy got? It may as well make the shipping worth it. So this is a Massachusetts-based folk black atmospheric metal album. It is probably the highlight of their career thus far, and since 2021 and 2022, most of the members of this band have left. It's basically down to one guy, which, as far as I know, I believe that guy is the main songwriter. He's the main keyboard player, which is a big part of this band. I put it on in the background so you guys could hear it, because it's a little hard to describe. It has a lot of that majestic, atmospheric stuff that you get out of your Eldamars and your Elderwinds and bands like that. But it's a lot more keyboard dominant. It's got a really, really heavy-handed dose of the kind of electronic element, kind of signifying maybe a folk tinge to them, and I guess that's where it comes from. There's tons of piano all over this album, and it almost gives you like an atmosphere between the clean female vocals and all the piano with all this majesty behind it. It kind of has this Peaceville inspired sound to it. It's got a ton of those bands like, the kind of gothy-ish metal bands that have a ton of atmosphere to them, and I kind of really like that about it. I wouldn't call this a gothic metal album at all, but it has a similar atmosphere, if you catch what I'm talking about here. But I would definitely check out Joe Naga, or DZO-NGA. Really good. My one real complaint is the harsh vocals kind of have that same walkie-talkie filter that Jeff Whitehead from Leviathan uses. I don't particularly love that. It kind of irks me on most records, but I like the album enough to be able to look past that completely. Same thing with Leviathan, I don't like that particularly, but Leviathan gets the pass. Now, if you're going to be like a has-been black metal band or something, I don't care. But yeah, Joe Naga. Next, something I've been wanting forever. Time Ghoul discography. I've been looking for this bad boy forever. And I know it's been kept in really good press by Dark Descent, but I've never ordered from Dark Descent, I don't think. Maybe once in my whole life. And it's really, really awesome. This is a really out there collection of demos. We'll see what else. It's got 2 demos, a Rehearsal 93, Live in 92, and a 4-track kind of farting around the studio thing, if I remember the order of what they are. Oh, no, that's the Rehearsal 93, and then there's a first 4-track recording in 89 at the end. which is very, very cool. Basically the Essentials is the first disc, which is the 2 demos this band put out. But the other stuff's kind of interesting. It doesn't warrant as much replay as those demos because they are absolutely amazing. This band is so ahead of their time for this era. Boiling in the Hourglass is one of the best songs on here. The Siege is absolutely great. I actually want to say that I like the Panoramic Twilight demo more than the first one. But if you aren't familiar, it's really spacey, kind of obtuse, mildly progressive death metal from St. Louis, Missouri. I believe it's definitely Missouri, maybe not St. Louis, but either way, this is an obvious influence on all your Blood Incantations and stuff like that. So if you haven't heard Time Ghoul, check this one out. Next, one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. I have not had a physical copy of, but Floth, with the album Floth 1. Look at that beautiful, beautiful album cover with the embossed kind of spot gloss sigil on it. This is great. So this is a 4-track album clocking in around 40 or 50 minutes. And it is a side project of Andy from Sayor. And if you're a fan of Sayor, you know it's really folky and bombastic. This has a bit more of a melancholic, atmospheric black metal to it. It's not folky. It's pretty dynamically. It keeps a steady pace. He does a lot of that with double bass drums, which is one of my favorite textures for some really nice melodic tremolo riff stuff. So that's a really, really cool part. This is actually a big influence on one of my folk records. The song Spirit of the North in particular is amazing. Amazing, just majestic and melodic black metal. Floth 2 is also pretty good, but it doesn't even come close to the majesty placed forth on such a brilliant, brilliant record. It just really hit home. You know, the first time I listened to it, I was absolutely blown away. Floth is amazing. Next, this is a band everybody knows. This is Desolate Endscape by Phrenolith. This is a great, great death metal album. Out on Dark Descent, this is a side project, or maybe just another band of some of the guys out of Undergang or Undergang, or however you properly say it. But this is really, really good mid-paced, crunchy death metal. You know, you hear people talk about a frying pan guitar tone. This is definitely that. It keeps it very, very, like I said, a very mid-pace, and it just chugs along really well. It keeps you interested. It blasts on occasion, so you don't get sick and tired of it, because blasty death metal is good, but it runs its course for me pretty quickly. So I do enjoy a bit more of a groove, a bit more of a mid-pace, or even a thrashy element. There's really no thrash on there, but I'm just talking in general. It's a really, really awesome album. I was supposed to be seeing these guys tonight. By the way, if y'all are going to be at Metal Threat Fest today, down in Lombard, Illinois, hit me up. I will be there. I'll be hanging out with Brian Arkham today. Tomorrow I'll be with Joe's Metal Man Cave hanging out. And then I know that there's a plethora of other dudes going, and I'm sure if you go there, you'd make friends. But the lineup is amazing. Even amongst the cancellations, it's continually been a very, very, very amazing underground metal festival. And I've never gone to a multi-day festival before, so I am very excited. But yeah, so these guys dropped out. I believe Cardiac Arrest took their spot, so still hyped because the Cardiac Arrest is freaking awesome. Let's get a little thrashy for a second. This is Terminal Redux by Vector. I've been wanting to check this band out for a long time. I've never really given them a proper listen until I got the CD, and I think I might have sampled it a little bit online, but this is out there. This is amazing tech thrash. These guys really, as you can probably tell by the logo, worship at the altar of Voivod in a lot of ways. I would say this has got a ton of the Voivod-isms with kind of your spacey keyboards, and really dynamic, progressive song structures. It's a really long album. I mean, the opening track is 9 minutes and 12 seconds. It's really wild. LCD, Liquid Crystal Disease, is one of my favorites. Pteropticon is another great track. They have such an interesting way of composing songs. It's so dynamic and so capable. Sorry, Kronos is opening the door there. His bathroom's in there, so he's going to inquire from probably stinking up the place here in a sec. But if you guys haven't checked out Vector, I know he's the main guy is kind of a dirtbag, but the music is amazing. And I mean, are we going to start throwing our dissection records out? I doubt any of y'all be doing that. Then I might listen to you. I still probably won't. Anyway, next, 3 albums from Anephrons. So I already owned this one, which is the oldest one, which is The Inward Cold, limited to 150 copies, hand numbered and signed. But this is the second press of it, and I believe mine is the first press. It's still in a box over there. I haven't gotten to take all my CDs out quite yet, but this is amazing. So this is the first record. It's 3 tracks, clocking in around 40-ish minutes, if I remember right. But I've talked about this on the channel before, so let's talk about the 2 I haven't. These are the other 2 full-length albums. Basically, I only need the 1 EP from 2018, and then I have their discography. So this is In the Hours Beneath, which I have on LP, and then The Bleakness of Our Constant by Anephrons. So yeah, so this band is a atmospheric black metal band with lots of doom elements to them. I don't want to call it funeral doom, but maybe a little bit. There's some clean vocals, which are, I don't want to call them monotone, but they're not bombastic and over-the-top clean vocals, which is definitely something that can be done. But nonetheless, it's really, really, really well done. And especially this album reeks of Opeth. All over the place. Your Still Life era Opeth, man. And it's really, really good. The atmosphere is a really majestic prettiness. I know you guys start taking a shot every time I say majestic, but that's kind of the theme here. It's brutal and majestic. That's basically what's going on in this video. This album is amazing. Both of these, all 3 of them are great. It's really nice listening to these like back to back. You really can see the enormous progression that this band has taken over the years, and I respect the crap out of them for it. Classic alert, The Erosion of Sanity by Gorguts. I'm wanting more Gorguts in my collection, man. I need all of them. All of them. I only own Obscura and this one, but I will get the other ones too. You know, I'm going to be hitting some record stores with Brian today, or a record store. There's going to be a plethora of distros at the Threat Fest, which I'm leaving for once I pretty much finish and upload this video. So I'll be keeping an eye out for Colored Sands and Consider Dead and all that stuff. But this album is amazing. Amazing, dude. It's so stupid heavy. It's got tons of, like, the brutality moments, you know. It's not I guess it's not considered brutal death metal, but, dude, if you listen to this and don't tell me this doesn't have a little bit of, you know, your suffocations and your broken hopes in it, I would definitely say check it again, because this is definitely a brutal album. Not in a sick way like Regurgitation or anything like that, but really, really nasty and heavy. Dude, the percussion on this is just dominating, absolutely city-shattering, buildings crumbling to the ground, heavy. The riffing is a little weird. It's not quite where they're going to be with Obscura, which is one of the most amazingly over-the-top, avant-garde death metal albums of all time, but you could kind of get pieces of what's going to come out of this album. Y'all have heard it. I'm not going to talk about it too much. Gorguts is amazing. Let's talk about something probably some of y'all know. A Touch of the Burning Red Sunset by Sarcasm. This is a Swedish melodic death, melodic black band. They started off a lot more death metal, but it was still very blackened even in the beginning. This is a compilation of all of their demos from 1998 and before, so I believe it is 3 demos. I could open it and tell you, but the 3 demos are really, really good. Like I said, the first one's the most death metal, and then as time moves along, they're starting to get a little bit more black metal intertwined into their sound. It's really hyper melodic stuff. I would compare it to stuff like Unanimated from Sweden, as well as Dawn from Sweden. I would say it's more on that black metal side of the melodic black death, as opposed to your Dissections, that it would be closer to your death metal end. All 3 of these demos are really, really good, man. That's pretty much all I can say about it. There's some really thrashy elements in there. Not dominantly, but there's an obvious thrash influence on a lot of the riffing and the songwriting, and especially I pick it up in the drumming. So if you guys haven't heard the Sarcasm demo comp, I would highly recommend it. You see what I mean about all these keyboards? All right, next, Loss, Horizonless. I've been wanting to get a hold of this CD for a good long while as well. I have their EP, the one with the dude on the news with all the Catatonia covers on it. I don't remember the name of it, but this is a Tennessee-based band. They play really death metal tinged, really death metal based funeral doom, I would say. You know, they kind of toe the line, but I would say they lean a little bit more into that death metal sound with a good amount of the funeral doom. It has that more of death metal attack, you know. But this is a long listen. This is not a driving in the car album by any means, which is, I did do, but you know, some of my drive was getting monotonous, so I would like keep an eye on the road, but my ears would be listening. You know how it goes. So you can kind of manage doing that with some of these slower records if you really want to. But this is really, really good. It's dense and it's kind of suffocating, but it has almost a beauteous gloom to it, if you want to say. It's a great record. It feels hopeless, you know. I mean, Loss really, really manages to create a really hopeless atmosphere, and I think that's really, really interesting. The complete opposite end of the spectrum, this is Nightmare Logic by Power Trip. I love this band. I've seen them live on several occasions. R.I.P. to Riley Gales. Apparently they're still going, so we'll see who they get to replace that guy, because those are some big shoes to fill. But we'll see how it goes, I guess. But this album's amazing. It's tons of fun. This is mindless brilliance, dude. This is like your punky hardcore crossover for those of you who've somehow not listened to Power Trip. It's heavy, it's fun, it's mosh fodder. I've been all about DRI lately, so my kind of thing, dude. My kind of thing, let me tell you. This is great, great album, though. Obviously, Executioner's Tax, Swing of the Axe is the big hit off of here, but the song Ruination is great. Waiting Around to Die is a lot of fun. The opening track, The Soul Sacrifice, the title track, Nightmare Logic. It's catchy, it's sing-along, you're driving around in the car going like this. I had this in my car with a couple buddies, and we were going on a BWRUN beer run, you know, and put this on, jamming, dude, jamming record. Power Trip rules. All right. Ossuarium, Silhouettes Unhallowed by Hooded Menace. This is the second to newest Hooded Menace album from 2018. Kronos is now blocking my light because he's perched atop a box. This is really good. So you know how the Triumvirate Bell or whatever it was, the newest one, I have that in my box over there, was really traditional metal influenced, and you could start to hear where that was coming in on this record. You could really tell these guys were probably getting into your old school and wave of British heavy metals, or your old school, or your new wave of old school traditional metal or whatever. It's really, really good stuff, man. I really enjoy it. It really fits well in the Death Doom sound, because it kind of picks up the pace a little bit without trying to go full death metal and blasting at crazy amounts of all that. Thrash beats, none of that. But this is really good. Lassie nails the vocals, as usual. I believe that's him right there, rocking the Rock and Roll Over t-shirt. Alpha move. Gotta love the Kiss stuff. This is great. I see a Hammerheart t-shirt. It's got a little bit more of an epic quality, but it's still depressive-ish, really over the top and suffocating Death Doom. Just three more for y'all. This is From the Abyss by Drowning the Light. You can really tell the quality of a Drowning the Light release based off of how much effort Asgore puts into the album cover. It's a little dark, so let's see if you can get all of that, yeah. So these really painted album covers tend to have a much better production. This one and From the Depths from 2018, this is from 2015. You could tell, based off of that more production went into this album, and it's a really, really, really nice improvement to the sound. It's got the same trims of every Drowning the Light album you've ever heard. It's not as punky and kind of RAC influenced like the early stuff kind of had. It's a little bit more melodic. It has a little bit more of that mid-era sound, which would make sense considering that's the tail end of the mid-era. But this new Birth of Drowning Delight has gotten really, really good. This is one of those projects that I think has aged very well because the new stuff is much better than the old stuff as far as I'm concerned. This album really caught my attention. This is a great headphones album. I put this on when I was at my old job last summer for the first time. Played it all the way through and was just absolutely blown away by how well composed Asgore can pump out these releases and still keep them interesting while maintaining the exact same sound and style of which he's known for. Like I said, it's the exact same style you're used to, but with way better production. And you can hear it, put your headphones in, you can play the CD, but you don't get the whole thing. You put the headphones in, you get all of it, dude. You get the full-blown what is the word? You get what I mean? The abyss. You're staring into the abyss when you're listening to this. It's dark, it's brooding, it's very abysmal. There we are. We learned English today, y'all. Really, really great album. Next, classic, Consuming Impulse by Pestilence. I've been wanting to get a hold of all the Pestilence material. Every one of them. Yes, I do mean that. So this is Consuming Impulse on the first one, and then 2 live sets, which I could not care less about. I hate these. If I wasn't such a collector dweeb, I would throw it in the garbage. I believe this to be what was maybe the original album cover. Interesting. Kind of cool. That's kind of a cool thing. If you're going to do these stupid slipcases, at least do them like this, where they're not the same thing. But put your track list on the back. Hammerheart. What is wrong with you? Anyway, this album's amazing. It reeks of Creator, reeks of German Teutonic thrash. I am assuming the name Pestilence came from the song off of, I think, Endless Pain. Is that album that has the song Pestilence on it, the Creator song? But it's a very obvious influence on this band, and it's a great thrashy death metal album. It's fun, it's heavy, it really warrants multiple listens. You'll wind up listening to something else and you get the hankering for it again. And I kind of thought the same thing about that Gorguts album, although they don't sound anything alike. But this is a great record, classic alert. And we're ending off with the newest Immortal album, Northern Chaos Gods. I know there's a new one dropping next month. Excited for it. Should be very good. This one had to grow on me a little bit. I thought this one was kind of meh for a little while, but over time, I've grown to appreciate it a lot more. I heard the title track and I was like, this is a blast fest, you know, but I've grown to like it a lot more because, you know, some of their best albums are blast fest. Tons of it all over the place. But, you know, I like the mid-era Immortal. I know you're going to fight me for it, but At the Heart of Winter is my favorite, for sure. The thrashy riffs, dude. Solarfall, are you kidding me? Withstanding the Fall of Time, are you going to argue with me? Those aren't amazing, amazing Immortal tracks. I don't care that they sound like Kiss riffs played with tremolo. They're great. They fit great in the context. But this one has kind of retouched their grim thoughts, their grim ideas. This kind of reminded me of Damned in Black, which would be another mid-era album with a lot of thrashy elements. That was what I initially thought, but the more I listened to it, I'm picking up a lot more Your Blizzard Beasts. I'm picking up a lot more Battles in the North, especially Battles in the North. I think that's where these guys have their altar firmly planted in the direction of Battles in the North. It's really, really good. It's fun. I do plan on buying the new album without even having to listen to anything more than the single. It's great. You have callbacks to, you know, stuff like Mighty Raven Dark and It Gates to Blashid and Blashik, however you say it. It's great. But I'm going to cut it off at that. I don't want to hit the 25-minute mark. If y'all are at Metal Thrust, hit me up. I'll be there today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It'll be a good old time. Cats are fighting in the corner, so that means I got to go. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Keep it greasy.